Before we start the meeting today, we're going to have an invocation. It's going to be given by Reverend Kara Buseberger. Did I get it right? I've tried it 3 times. And we're going to have the pledge. So, Kara, if you'll wait until we have the pledge, just stand right there. You're fine. And the pledge is going to be led by Mike Bishop.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'll remain standing.
I'd like to read from James chapter 3. But the wisdom that comes from heaven, it's full of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace raise a harvest of righteousness. Let us pray. God, we ask that you give this committee wisdom. Wisdom full of mercy and grace and good fruit, impartial and sincere. May they be righteous peacemakers in Connersville. Guide them and direct them this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Call the meeting of the Board of Works for August the 4th, 2014 to order. And the first order of business will be roll call.
Jane Oakley, Fran Shulman,
Present.
Leonard Urban,
Present.
Mike Bishop,
Present.
Ron Coldiron.
Present.
Let the record show that 4 of the 5 Board of Works members are present. We have a quorum. We can do business. I'd like to ask everybody to turn your cell phones to the vibrate or off position, if you will, please. I'd like to welcome everybody that came today. We've got a pretty good agenda. We'll go through it as swiftly as we can. We will have time for a public forum at the end of the meeting. It's item actually number 8 on the agenda. If there is something during the agenda that you'd like to speak at, if you just raise your hand and we will address that. And there are some people here that have made appointments to come and talk to the Board of Works. We'll certainly call on you at the right time. So with that, we'll have the reading of the July 21st, 2014 regular meeting.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the Monday, July 21st meeting. Excuse me.
Second, please.
Got a motion and a second that we accept the minutes as they were sent out to us. Are there any additions or corrections? None appearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We have a request from United Way to hang a banner on August the 5th to the 19th. Director Jennifer Harris. Jennifer? Okay, we'll hold on that. Maybe she's just running a little late.
Number A or
Miss letter A.
Oh, I better do that. Request for a crosswalk on 4th Street, United Holy Church, Sam Jones. Sam.
That's Unity Holy Church,
I'm really batting 0 today, aren't I?
I guess. But
Where's your church, Sam?
right behind Wendy's. It's the oldest church in the Connersville.
Okay, with the big steeple?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that the other day I was down there.
We're tearing a house down straight in front of it, making a parking lot.
And you want a crosswalk across,
Crosswalk from the parking lot.
okay, the parking lot's on the other side of the street.
Right. Across 4th.
Did you look at it?
No, I haven't. I'm familiar with the area though. Is that the one on the corner of the alley there? And
And there's another bit.
yeah, there's an alley that goes right down to Wendy's. I haven't. I think Dennis was looked at it and was involved in that, but I don't see any big problem with it.
I don't either. It's in the middle of the block or on the corner?
It sits right by the alley there.
I mean, would the crosswalk be in the middle of the block or on the corner?
Yeah, the middle of the block.
Okay. We've been granting those crosswalks. We got them for the school up in the north end. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Is that house you're tearing down? Is that on the corner of the alley too, across the street?
Right, straight in
Would
front
it
of
be better to put it right there next to the intersection?
Yeah.
I mean.
Next to the alley?
Yeah,
Probably.
I think that'd be better.
Well, what we was gonna do is put we're gonna leave the sidewalk, we're gonna enter out the alley, and we're going to put that white privacy fence, picket fence, or whatever you call it, that plastic fence down along the sidewalk. We're just gonna leave a gate opening in front of the church, where they could get out of the car and walk straight into the church.
I don't see a problem with that. Usually a crosswalk, usually it's toward an intersection, like an alley or a street. Usually you don't see too many crosswalks in the middle of the block, so to speak. If you're down like 20 yards or so, or something like that, you know, or whatever.
Well, I make a motion that we allow the chief and you two decide where to be, and then we go ahead and light it in the
Dennis took
crosswalk.
pictures and all that.
Okay, I'll get with Dennis and see what.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? Anybody out there object? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jennifer, not here. Request for a boot drive at Spartanettes, August the 16th. Jewel,
That's me.
I got that one right.
Yes. If you see me here, I'm usually asking for a boot drive. We have 19 of our 21 Spartanettes. They made special events. They want to go to Disney, 19 of the 21 team, and they want to do a boot drive. And I've checked it out, and I think the day's okay. And then because we have so many going, we would like to ask for an additional boot drive on August the 13th. It's going to cost approximately $1,000 to send all the girls. All but 2 are going. So-
1,000 each.
Is that person?
$1,000 each per
Per person.
person. Yeah, they get their outfit and they'll dance in the Disney parade. You can see it on Christmas morning. It's the Christmas parade for Disney. It's on the TV.
13th and 16th.
Yeah, the 13th of August. Or the
13th.
16th, I'm sorry, the 16th of August and the 13th of September.
Oh, okay.
Mayor, I have a question. How many intersections are you wanting?
Well, that's the other question I had, because when I called, we weren't sure if we had 2 or 3 intersections. If we could use the 26th and not the 24th.
and Grand's gonna-
24th, they
Closed,
tore up.
okay, so then, yeah, so we will need the 2 dates especially, so,
So that's 6th and Grand and 6th and Central?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And I talked to Mike Bottomley, and he said he'd bring the cones and the vests and everything down. His daughter was a Spartanette, so he's done that before for us, so he said he would continue to do that,
Okay.
so. But because we have so many, we just feel like we need 2 days.
What's your pleasure?
I move that we allow the Spartanettes to have their boot drives on August 16th and September 13th.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anybody object out there? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, light boot drive, MDA, that's the Fireman Scott Jones.
There's a letter here.
Yeah, I got it right here. Everybody got that?
Hello.
Yeah.
I gave everybody a letter. It's time for our annual NDA boot drive. As I put in the letter, we were gonna try and do it a little different this year, if it's okay. Usually we do a 3-day weekend, a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I had a meeting with some NDA representatives, and there's a lot of other departments that bring in, a lot of money, and I asked how in the world do they do that? And they said, well, they started doing stuff a little different, and they said they tried to do 3 Fridays instead of a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I talked to the guys about that and asked them if they'd like to maybe try that, and they decided to, try that this year, if that's okay.
Okay, so were they open? She just walked
Yeah,
out?
I checked with her Monday.
All 3 Fridays are available.
Yeah, she went ahead and scheduled me, and I told her to put me on.
What's the
agenda.
time, Scott?
I put, it wouldn't be any longer than 9 to 5. Normally we quit at 4.
During the day?
Yeah, that'll be up to the guys on duty. Normally we quit doing stuff at 4. Like I said, I talked to the MDA girls, and they said sometimes, some of the guys will stay out a little bit, an hour later than normal, and get people getting off work. So, I decided to leave that as maybe an option. If the guys decide to stay out an extra hour, until 5 instead of quitting at 4, that's up to them. But I just put no longer than 5, so.
What's your pleasure?
I make a motion to accept the boot drive for MDA on the dates of September 5th, 12th, and 19th, 9 to 5.
Second.
Any discussion? Anybody out there? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Please, Scott.
Approval for the NDOT contract for Grand Avenue project from 24th to 30th This is a preliminary thing we're getting ready to do. We're doing our own project to keep a project rolling all the time. Go ahead.
But this is, the city of Connersville was awarded $3.2 million for the second leg of the Grand Avenue project from 24th to 30th Street. We just need approval of the LPA NDOT contract to move forward. The city's portion of that will be, on top of that, the total project was $4,044,000. A little over $1.4 million will come from city match money on the project. This is
Look at me at stormwater most of
It's a 2018 project, but we have to get started on the preliminary engineering and so forth to
2
be
years
ready
in
for
advance.
construction in 2018.
2 to 3
Let
years.
let me explain to you a little bit where we are here. We got the project going now from 20 to 24. We got the small project going west on 2 streets that we're in the process of designing. Our agreed order says that we must have a project on the board and construction at all times. So we decided to do that little project with our stormwater money. If it looks pretty good, they gave us, twice we went to NDOT, tried to get the money from 24 to 30. This time they gave it to us. But we will have to come up with the match money because that is a streetscape.
It's an 80-20 match.
It's not going to be, at least some of us probably won't be here when that takes place, but because of the agreed order, everybody knows what an agreed order is. Rather than go to court and the judge says, this is what you will do, we went to court and said, hey, if you just leave us alone and do it our way, we'll do it this way. And that's where we are today. So we don't have any choice. And since the federal through NDOT is going to put $3.5 million into it, we don't have a choice.
At what point of the project do we have to come up with the local money? Do you have any idea?
I believe, for this project, it will be in, the match will go throughout the project. We will probably start on the preliminary engineering, so it'll be little amounts for
Okay.
over the next 3 years
I see.
instead of all coming up.
And they let us know that as they do it, correct?
As we do it, yes.
Exactly.
Because we'll have to go through the steps. We have to do preliminary engineering, and then this probably won't be bid until, we'll find out more Thursday. We go for the award meeting on Thursday, but the preliminary engineering should start pretty soon.
Okay.
We'll probably get an RFP out in the next month or so.
Yeah, and like I say, we really don't have any choice.
Yeah, we're mandated.
You'll pay heavy fines and be in big trouble if you
That's
just
right.
don't keep moving.
So
Make a
you-
motion
I think
to-
they
I need
just
approval.
negotiated some more leeway on our long-term plan on that, didn't they?
No, we revisited our long-term plan and there's some changes in it because NDOT and the federal government have, but I haven't seen any significant change in money. Now,
This one is an update, I think.
about a little time, I think.
I
Yeah.
move that we approve this NDOT contract for the Grand Avenue project from 24th to 30th.
Second, please.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have some transfers in the park, you've all read them, you know what we're doing. I'd like to take F and G both at the same time, if it's okay with you, 2014-30 and 2014-31.
I'll make a motion, Your Honor, that we accept Resolution 2014-30 and -31.
Might read the amounts, Your Honor.
I'll let you read them.
Okay. In the park non-reverting operating fund is $2,935.86. Goes to the day camps, $1,827.86. The center rent, $448. The center softball, $200. And the center soccer, $460. The other park is from gas and oil to minor equipment. The total is $600.
Any problem? Did you make the
I made the
motion?
motion.
Got a second?
Second, please.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. We'll go right to the utility department. First of all, I think we'll take this right off the top. As you know, we went through the last month trying to figure out how we were going to operate the utilities, and we finally came up with a plan. And City, you approved the plan last meeting when we took Mr. Coulter and Mr. Bottomley. Mr. Bottomley is the utility manager, Mr. Coulter is the assistant manager, and Mr. Shoemaker is running the sewage treatment plant. Aaron Johnson is the chemist and the pretreatment coordinator. If all of you guys would stand up that are here, please. I don't think there's anybody you don't know. Mr. Shoemaker's done a great job. He's learned from Mary Ellen, and he was trained very well by her. She's shaking her head, but he was, because he's been doing pretty good for 2 weeks, and I'm not in jail yet, so I'm pretty happy. Mike has worked for the city for 14, 15 years, and we had a chance to promote him, and he's a good people person, he's a good manager financially. Mr. Coulter has been with the utilities for 30 years, and he knows where every pipe is, even up around the big 6-story building, and how to shut them off and turn them on. And he knows all there is to know about the utility trucks and all that, so that's a good choice. And Bob Shoemaker has the Class 4 or Class 3 down at the sewage treatment plant, and then we were mandated by IDEM that we had to have this pre-treatment coordinator, and it was too much anyway. Mary Ellen was carrying the load, so we got that all in place. Now, to go along with that, all these people moved, so we had to hire a couple of operator trainees to go down with Bob Shoemaker, and we've had about 17 applicants. We cut it down and interviewed 8 or 9. We did drug testing, we did police checks, and we're recommending to you that Matt Kendall and Cheyenne Lawrence be hired to go down to the sewage treatment plant to begin their duties as operators, technicians, or whatever they have to do down there. And then we're recommending that Jeremy Wilson start immediately working for Brad on the sewer crew, Brad? Or water crew?
Jeremy will be on the sewer crew.
Sewer crew. And then when the union gets done with the domino effect, there'll be one more opening, and we've interviewed, and we recommend David Myers to go into that position, and I'm not sure where they're going to put him yet, but
Be on the water crew.
water crew. I need your approval. Everything's been done but your approval.
You want pending approval of
Pending
the
approval.
results of
Yeah.
drug tests?
Yeah, I don't have the result of the drug test. I should have them this afternoon. Tomorrow morning?
Today or tomorrow?
Okay. Yeah, nobody will be hired until I got those in my office.
I'll make the motion that we hire these people pending the successful completion of the test.
Is there a second?
I will second that, yes.
Discussion. Anybody?
I was there on some of the interviews, and I was very impressed with the quality of the people that want to seek employment with the city, so I was happy to vote for them.
I think there, out of the 8 or 10 that we had, we probably could have hired 7 easily. And there may be some more shifting as time goes around here, but we're going to have a lot of new people, and these poor guys have got a lot of training they got to do. So with that, any further discussion? Let's have a roll call vote.
Fran Schomel?
Yes.
Leonard Urban?
Yes.
Mike Bishop?
Yes.
Ron Coldiron?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The second issue we need to look at here, the evaporation at Hassler's, I assigned to Mike Bishop and Ron Coldiron. Do you want to talk to us about that?
Sure, matter of fact,
Here's
I'd
Mr.
asked Brad to
Hassler
come
right now.
today.
Mr.
Yeah.
Hassler, why don't you just come up to the podium here?
Yeah,
We're just ready to take your issues.
I had a meeting with Brad, and we discussed the evaporation process, and so Brad, you can share with us what's
What
going
it
on
is,
over there.
we were a lot of our water actually gets evaporated out through our dryers and never ends up actually going down the sewer. And we have like 3 175-pound dryers, 2 200-pound dryers, and 4 450-pound capacity dryers. So all that actually goes through those and actually goes through the flat work ironer and the dry cleaning process or the pressing, it just all evaporates out into the air actually that way. And what I was asking for, we did a study, and it looks like about 27% of what we actually have as far as the water doesn't go back down the sewer. And we were asking just for a fair charge on the sewer for what we actually do put down there.
If you kind of relate this to, we allow some companies that have retention ponds to do water runoff, and we change the storm sewer. Because he isn't putting that water down the sewer, companies like him around the state are getting a break on their sewage charge. So I asked Mr. Mike and Ron to look it all over and give us a recommendation.
After talking to Brad and seeing the process that he's got and being familiar with it too, I would recommend that the board would discount the sewer rate to the Hassler Cleaner facility, and it is a commercial facility, by the way, of 26%, just because of the process of evaporation that they have. And I'm not saying this is not just Brad's company. All commercial cleaners are looking into this and doing something of this nature. So,
Does it vary, or does it stay about the same each month, or?
It actually would be proportionate of volume of the water we use. So
Okay.
it would really not, it would just vary with the proportion that we do.
I see.
You know.
Okay.
of course, the sewer rate is all
Variable too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's based on our water
based on the water
income.
consumption. Yeah.
And since we're not actually putting it all back down the sewer.
That's what comes out them stacks up there when it looks like
Right.
an engine runs.
Yeah, that's steam.
It's Connersville water going out of the sewer.
But it goes up and comes back down and we drink it again. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's fair. You know, I think the utility, Mr. Coulter or Mr. Bottomley, you got anything to say about that?
First I heard of it, I mean, you know, we have these, we do this with the hospital, I'm not sure how many other places.
They evaporate some of their water too, and we give them a break.
And things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it wouldn't be fair to charge him for water going down the drain when 26% is not, and you've investigated it pretty thoroughly, haven't you?
Well, there's data that supports just what we're talking about here. I mean, that's not something picked out of the air. So yes.
Because actually, I mean, we scaled the loads before they went into the dryers and then tested the weights afterwards and equated that to the pounds of water per gallon. So we did that over an average for like different loads, whether it's all Terry items or all sheet items or things like that. So we could calculate what the weight of that difference was and equate that back to gallons per pound.
How long a period of time was that over?
About a 6-week period, because we do commercial work, we do healthcare work, we do hotel work, and each one's a little different, so we took that as an average
That's
over
fine.
everything.
Okay.
It varies, per linen, whether it's a linen or a towel or whatever.
Right, because a towel will hold a little moisture than a sheet would.
Okay, what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
I don't know, was there a motion?
I don't think so.
Ron just made a recommendation. to
Oh,
the
I
board.
see.
I'll make the motion, Your Honor, that we grant Hassler this discount that they're asking for on their, I don't know how Judy wants to word it, water going up, down into the sewer. I think 27%, is that what you want to say?
Evaporation loss.
Evaporation loss, excuse me.
A motion and a second. Any discussion out there? Anybody? Have a roll call vote.
Fran Chomel,
Yes.
Leonard Urban,
Yes.
Mike Bishop,
Yes.
Ron Coldiron.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you, I
you.
appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Just for, hey, how many do you employ over there today?
58.
I thought it was in the 50s when I was over there a few weeks ago.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's quite an operation. They deliver linens all over Indiana. It's a good company here. We appreciate you, Brad. Thank you. Okay.
It's always good for companies to look for cost savings too, Your Honor, to better their employment, really.
Okay.
and stabilize it.
Likewise, I assigned the anaerobic digester bid to the same committee. And what did you guys come up with there? And Bob, you want to come up to the podium here? I think you've got a lot of information on it too.
Your Honor, we had a meeting with Bob down at the sewer plant and looked at the digester. And if I'm not understanding, this thing hasn't been opened up since '95. Is that right, or maybe longer than that?
I believe 74 on that.
Yeah, I think
On
so.
that
That's
one?
about when it was built.
Something about, Jeff said something was done in '95, but
I haven't been able to find any records of anything else that having been done to it.
my question was, and Bob discussed this, was as that sludge is being pulled out, of course, it's mixed with water to dissolve it, to pull it out of there, and then this water process is run through a press. And of course, we pay on the tonnage that's hauled off, and my concern was how wet the sludge is going to be hauling off, and Bob had a good explanation of that. I was reading this backwards. They're going to, according to the contractor, they will be processing this to the waste facility at a 20% discharge. In other words, 80% of it's already going to be pressed out. Is that the way that I'm reading that? In other words, it's dry tonnage.
They're estimating that the solids that they're going to haul to the dump will be 20% solids,
Yeah.
which is kind of a thick jello almost.
Yeah.
But because we priced it as a per dry ton, that takes that out of it. Doesn't matter how dry it is, what they're sending there. What they will do is they will do a laboratory analysis on each load, or probably on a composite for the day, and use the percent solids of the day and the weight tickets from the dump to determine the dry weight that you're hauling.
So that kind of eliminates the problem that we was bringing up.
Okay, well, then I asked Bob, I got a price from CGS for dumping it, and then Bob was gonna talk to the company what their price for
Right.
dumping it was, and what was the difference? Was there any?
Yes, they said that it's fine, that we paid the landfill directly,
How much should we say?
and they estimate that if we actually do the whole 230 dry tons, or 260 dry
260,
tons, we would save about $13,000. And they redid their calculations on it and came up with a different total for a dry ton of $674 a dry ton instead of $849.
But they haul it.
Right, they're still gonna haul it because their trucks would be much better for it than ours. And they haul approximately 22, 23 tons per load, whereas we haul about 12 or 13.
You might just want to explain to the people how much guesstimated time it's going to take to do this. We talked about that.
They estimated 6 weeks. Of course, you know, the one thing on this is there's a lot of uncertainty in what you're actually going to get out of it. You know, even though they did a sample of it, it basically took a column out of it in one place and ran that to see what kind of solids they had on it. You can still have totally different on the other side of the digester, and even down at the very bottom where you couldn't sample, it can be a lot different. So I believe their estimate is probably on the high side, but, you know, we have to go with what they came up with from their numbers.
But since it's based on a ton, we'll be there to monitor and watch it.
Right.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how much water it takes to get it out of the digester. I've actually seen when we cleaned out one other digester, it was like sand in the bottom. And you basically had to spray it with a lot of water to get it out. But by doing it by the dry ton, that doesn't matter.
So we've got this bid all straightened out now, so I think we can accept that bid. And by the way, we let the record show nobody else bid.
Right, there was only one bid.
I think we've got a pretty good bid, and we did save $13,000 by disposing of it ourselves. Because of our contract with CGS, we can do a little better. So I need a
I would
decision
add
on
too
this
that the
bid.
credentials of this company is pretty strong too,
Yeah.
very strong.
Yeah, he's worked with them before.
Yes, they've hauled our liquid sludge in the past.
It's a pretty big chore to take on.
I need a motion, and so we can
I
move
make a
forward.
motion to accept the Centergrove bid to clean the digester.
With the changes in the,
with the changes of we hauling or paying the landfill direct.
What was that bid?
$674 per dry ton. That was the readjusted amount, right?
Yeah.
is there a
That's what I
second?
had.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Further discussion? Anybody out there want to discuss it? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote.
Fran Chomel,
Yes.
Leonard Urban.
Yes.
Mike Bishop,
Yes.
Ron Coldiron.
Yes.
Okay, you have passed that, and so you can go ahead and get the thing cleaned up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have anything else down there, Bob? Wanna, any issues you want to tell us
Well, there
about?
is the one primary tank that needs to be rebuilt. That was part of the IDEM request. And we had parts on that for $3,700, $3,770. But that's something we have to do anyway. I don't know if that needs to go here or not.
We don't have to okay that.
All right.
That's maintenance.
All right, that's all I have.
Everything going smooth down there?
It's going very well.
How's,
We're working,
pretreatment
trying to
coordinator?
figure out how to train 3 people at one time.
But you still got some help down there?
Yes. Till the rest of the end of this month, we're still good.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Bob.
thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Mr. Coulter. Mr. Coulter started 2 weeks ahead of Mike, so he's pretty well ahead of the game. We're working on the building over there. The 2 front doors don't shut. They've been swelled up, and no matter how much you clean them off, they don't shut. And the walls need painting over there, and we had the carpet cleaned a month ago, I think it was, and it looks just as bad today as it did a month ago.
It's bad.
The carpets wore out. And so Mr. Coulter went and got some bids on putting vinyl. If you've looked in the hospital, that wood type vinyl that's in the hospital, and then just put carpet around the edges is in the 2 front offices. But down the hall, up to the restrooms, in front of the counter and behind the counter, we're proposing to put that wood-like vinyl. So you got 2 separate quotes there. You got 2 for the
Here's the doors.
For the
doors.
front door, we got one quote because I tried
Okay,
to
you couldn't get anybody else
several
to bid it.
people, yeah, nobody ever came, so.
What building are you speaking of? Jim?
The utility office over
On
on.
Vine
The
Street?
main one, yeah. There's the other
And
bit.
the quote on the door is gonna be 4801 because we gotta do an ADA with the.
It's gotta be ADA
all that stuff.
compliant, so when someone goes up there, they can touch the button and open it.
So that's 4801 on that one. And,
If you want another quote on this, we have to go out of town, and that hasn't been your
I even
choice.
tried Richmond and Centerville, and
They didn't want it.
nobody ever came to look at it.
Let's take the door first. What he was proposing to do is take those double doors out, put one glass door with an opener on it. That would make us ADA compliant on the openings. We still gotta address the restrooms, but we don't have to address it until we remodel them.
To remodel, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Door. So this is the front door.
Now,
Do we have a ramp? Is there a ramp there?
there is no steps.
No,
No steps in the front.
No.
One step?
there's one step.
Well,
There is one
from the
step.
parking lot, yeah, from the parking lot, there's the one.
Isn't there a ramp there, though, to the right?
Remember, I'm trying to think.
Anybody know if there's a ramp there?
Is there a ramp?
Is it on the
If you come on the side?
Can't remember if
One
it,
right out front.
Is
Yeah,
there
I
one in
thought-
the
I
front
thought
coming
there
up to
was.
the door?
And it's marked so that no one parks there.
I thought it was, 'cause
You
the
talking
only
about a
ADA
parking
problem we
place?
looked at was
No,
the
a
door.
ramp coming into the door.
and that'll have that door will have the buttons
step
on the
missing
inside
somewhere.
now.
So we're going from the 2 doors to the 1 door then, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just gonna put one glass door there that ADA compliant.
What was the bid on the door?
480137. Installed, done, ready.
The door itself was only
3801?
around 2,000, opener and everything, so it ran into some.
0137,
Was Mike?
480137.
And who was that from?
Connors with mirror glass works.
You ready for the motion, Your Honor?
Yeah,
I'll make a motion that we award this bid to Connersville Mirror Works to repair the door at a cost of $4801.37. Get it fixed.
actually take it out and put the new in.
Replace
make
it, yes.
ADA compliant, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Now, let's take the carpet and vinyl issue. We have two quotes on that. One is from Wholesale Carpet. The whole job is $7,955.08. The other one is same stuff, basically.
So that, they're together.
Oh, Foles floor covering is, no, you checked, it's the same materials, right? 10,801.06.
$10,800.06.
Mm-hmm.
Same area? Everything's the same one, as far as the,
Of course.
Yeah, you checked that out. It's the same area and the same material, right?
Yep.
It's not itemized, so I can't tell you where it is. It's 125 square yards of carpet. And they don't itemize the carpet on this one.
how much vinyl? Is it got vinyl in there too?
Okay, the vinyl Solus is 100 square yards. Removal of the old stuff and installation. The labor is it's not estimated. I mean, it's not itemized.
That's a big difference.
$3,000.
That also includes the entranceway with the walk-off mat, right? They got a type of walk-off mat in the entranceway that takes the sand and gravel off. Where's the sample? Someone brought a sample here? These will be these squares, will be in the entranceway, and they're glued down, pressure sensitive, so if they get to looking bad, you take them up, put another square down.
What's the warranty on that?
It's got a 10-year commercial warranty.
Now, this just goes
We
in the
need that.
entry.
Just in the entranceway.
The carpet on the inside of the lobby is gonna be a square.
Also,
It's a square carpet.
Yeah.
I don't know how big the squares
That's
are.
what I
they're
was
the
asking.
same size, yeah.
And what's the warranty? I thought what's the warranty on the inside carpet?
10 year
Same,
commercial,
same.
yeah.
Okay.
You got a copy of the vinyl there?
Oh, yeah. $20 mil wear layer.
That's like they put in the hospital.
Yeah.
You see that, Fran?
I saw with the mayor, it's like a nice floor.
Feel that,
That's got wire in it.
yeah. Get your feet clean. Yeah, the gravel and
Scrapes off in the
dust, and you don't walk right in on the vinyl.
We just had it.
How old is the carpet that's there? Anybody know?
Let's put it
98.
in 98.
98?
They just had it cleaned. It still looks pretty bad even after the cleaning, so. It's
I
worn
think
out.
right after the cleaning it looks good, but it gets dirty right away.
Yeah. All the fiber's gone in it.
I'll make a motion to accept the wholesale bid of $79.5508 for the floor covering there at the offices of the utilities.
Second.
Any discussion? Anybody out there have any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I have a light bill. Before we put the carpet, before we do the doors, we want to paint the lobby and the hall. And we
The
got
whole inside of the building except the boardroom.
the whole inside of the room except the boardroom. We have one bid for $10,600 to furnish the paint, and we have one bid for $3,800. They're gonna furnish the paint too?
Yeah.
Quite a difference.
Little difference.
Do what? Give me those bids again.
$3,800 on one quote,
Danny Rose,
$10,600 on the other quote.
Gee.
Is that
What's the other one? Gig?
Gig Fields? Is that?
Gig Fields is one, and Danny
Danny Rose?
Rose Painting is the other one.
Are they both local?
Yeah.
Yep, local.
We've used Danny before, didn't we use him at the park?
Danny, he painted the,
Painted
4-H
Connersville.
building and.
no, he painted the amphitheater.
He's painted the city just.
And he painted City Hall,
Painted those buildings, I think, through the Chamber of Commerce.
painted all the stores downtown.
Yeah, yeah.
That's also, he's gonna paint the columns on the outside on all the shutters out there that needed too, so.
That's included in this bid?
Not the whole outside trim, but on the front.
So take the lowest bid, I mean, I'll make that motion. Who's it from?
$3,800, Danny Rose.
Okay, Danny Rose bid of $3,000.
$3,800. He's furnishing the paint, right?
That's labor and everything?
Yeah. He says he can get in there and get it done in a weekend too, so that'll be good.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I'll do this one.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, you got a lot of work to get done over there, because you gotta get the painting done before you can.
I can tell you, we've got 1,080 meters in out of the last 2,000, so that leaves us 920 out of the 6,000 will be done.
Oh, that's great.
What's our estimated time?
Let's say 2 months, just on the safe side.
Will it be done before winter, before
Oh,
cold
yeah.
weather?
Oh, yeah.
comes? Good.
We've been working 2 hours overtime each night and working 5 guys on Saturday. And we accomplish how many a week, Brad, when we do that?
Couple hundred.
That gives us
But it's
about,
been, people's going on vacation, it's been less guys, you know. The fair last week slowed it down a little bit, but they're probably working, 3 nights a week, couple hours, and then Saturdays.
we've been doing that because just as soon as we get those in, we think we can do it with 1 meter reader and 1 truck. On the 2 trucks that we were told that we needed to buy, Mike and Brad want some time to shift it all around before they decide. So we're
I
gonna
think
put,
that's a good
if
idea.
it's all right with that, we will put that all on hold, okay?
Sure. I think we need to remind our viewers that all this money that we're appropriating is utility money, is not tax money. It comes from the utility department. Their funds come from the users of water and sewer.
Right. Has nothing to do with the tax dollar.
No.
It's all separate.
The last thing I wanted to talk to you about for just a minute was maybe a little bit of a way to pay for all this stuff. We're awful low on our prices of what we charge people when they use our equipment. There's several places that, on a pretty regular basis, we go use our back truck to help them clean their sewers and that kind of thing. And the price that we have now is so low, we're not even covering our cost on the manpower for sure, and probably not on the vehicle either, so.
These are current prices here, Brad?
Yeah.
Hey, would you read those?
Sure, on the equipment, the sewer vac truck is $75 per hour, the TV truck's $75 per hour. Shamrock sewer machine is $75 per hour, the large tapping machine is $75. Backhoe is $50, the dump truck is $50. The air compressor is $25, the pipe pushing machine or the mole is $25. Small routing machine is $25. 2-inch to 4-inch pumps are $20 and labor man hours are $20. Those are all hourly rates for this
So
equipment.
as an example, if we go run a sewer for somebody and it takes an hour or less, then we're gonna charge them $115 for 2 guys in that truck.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cheap.
That's pretty cheap.
It almost leads to you being taken.
Did you get a comparison what other cities are charging?
Not yet. No, I was hoping maybe somebody would help me and we'd look into it, setting some new prices, somebody on here.
Be glad to help you.
How often does this happen, Brad, that you're called upon to do this?
We've got 3 regular customers that probably between them 20 times a year or better, probably.
I know they help out Everton Sewer quite a bit.
Well, let me, can I assign that to the same, because they work with utilities all the time. and you and Mike work with them and give us a recommendation for a new rate for the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, Mike? and
Yeah, these have been in date since 2007, it's probably time.
2 weeks would be enough time. I don't know if 2 weeks would be enough time to get it all together, Your Honor, but we'll try.
Well, call some other cities and see where you stand.
We will.
Okay, you have anything else under utilities? Okay, Dave, you have anything? Okay, first aid unit, do you have anything?
First aid's not here, that's fire.
Oh, that's fire. You got a white uniform on. Old badge. Okay, now, we have 2 issues that we have to decide today, or we gotta do something about, and I guess we'll take the toughest one first. Well, I don't know if it's the toughest, they're both tough. When, in 2008, they adopted a new salary ordinance for utility non-contractual workers. And when they adopted that salary ordinance, it was recommended by the utility board at that time to the city council. The city council passed it. And it basically said they were eliminating the ability for non-contractuals to pay back or to sell back their sick days, and they were eliminating severance pay of 1 day per year for every year they've been there. Nobody has retired since that ordinance was passed back in 2008. Now we're up to 2014. Well, I take that back. One person retired, Bill retired, and it was sent over here and he was paid for that. Julie tells me that was a mistake because she didn't pay it according to the ordinance. You have to have a salary ordinance to pay, and that's the way it's got to be. So we now have had 3 people retire that are non-contractual. We've got some contractuals. That's covered in their contract. We don't have to worry about that. But the non-contractuals are not covered because there's no ordinance to pay it, so therefore Julie can't pay it. This board could recommend to the city council that they address it and take care of it, or this board could say, no, we're not going to pay it. You run the utility, but you don't appropriate money. So it would take the city council to appropriate that money. The decision you have to make today is whether you want city council to deal with it or whether you don't want them to deal with it. The board is open for discussion. Oh, yell at once. Would you like to make some presentation? 3 of the 3 people that are concerned with it are affected.
I would defer to Dave.
Now, I will say though this, when you went from union to management, you were paid out on your,
Not at that point in time he was.
But he has been now.
We've paid him out. when
For
he
part
left,
of it,
yeah.
you did not pay me for the severance.
No,
No.
just for your unused sick days at that time.
First, let me congratulate those who are now in management at utilities, and wish them a lot of luck. And I think that you have made wise decisions in putting new hourly personnel in right away because of the retiring years of service that some of the people have. They're going to gain a lot of information within this month, so I think that was a good idea. I know you had an executive session regarding this, so you know all the facts about the ordinance at the time that we retired. We being David Nutty, utility manager, 40 years of service. Karen Lohr, utility office manager, 48 years of service. And Mary Ellen Blanton, wastewater superintendent, who also did pre-treatment and the wastewater crew, and she had 35 years of service. When we retired, the ordinance did not specifically state those items paid out that you're discussing. There was a person who retired under the same ordinance, same wording, and was paid. During that time, we had no reason to think that we would not be paid also until the day before we retired. So less than 24 hours we were informed we wouldn't be paid.
Let's address that right here. That did happen, 24 hours,
Pretty close.
and the reason you did not pay it.
Why I didn't pay it? Because it's not in the salary ordinance. And once I notified State Board of Accounts, they said I absolutely do not have the authority to pay anything that is not in the salary ordinance. That in order to do that, that would have to go back to the council and have a new salary ordinance written that states those things are to be paid.
Three of us met on the 24th of June with Julie and Leonard and John, clerk, mayor, and city attorney, and discussed this issue. And at that time, you said that it would take a special ordinance just for that. And of course, this issue won't happen again because you've now made agreements with the new management that they're being paid out what was owed them, and the new would be treated differently. So this issue will not happen again.
Well, with the exception, those people are still at this, over there that are
In the office.
in the office, the
personnel.
non-contractuals, that issue could come up again.
And that is something you will be addressing. But we are talking about three of us and what we've earned and what is owed us. The ordinance does not specifically state it, but it also doesn't deny it. The utility personnel policy does state that is paid. That personnel policy is under the direction of the Board of Works, and it's not been changed. And with a previous person retiring and getting that, we had no reason to think we would not get that also. So we chose a specific retirement date and chose our finances with the anticipated money that we would be receiving. And then was told that we wouldn't get it. At the special meeting, not special meeting, excuse me, the meeting that we had with Julie and Leonard and John, that was all talked about, and it was mentioned that it would have to have a special ordinance. That is something that you said you would do, and that also that you would encourage and support. Go ahead and doing that and get us our pay. So knowing that you said that, we're ready for you to make that choice, make a positive choice, make the right choice, and go ahead and vote. You can do that.
We've been wrestling with this for more than a month, and we've looked at every avenue. We could sit here this afternoon and wash this up and wash it down and hang it out. We couldn't do anything anyway. It would take city council to appropriate the money. I make a motion that we move this to city council for them to discuss and make the decision, since they have to.
With your approval?
Since they have to do it
support?
anyway. We really don't have anything in it. They have to do it.
Okay. Well, we know that the three of you said you supported.
Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Who seconded that?
I'll second.
Rather than hash it out in 3 or 2 meetings, I think it's better to hash it out. I would suggest that all 3 of you come to the meeting tonight at 7 o'clock and voice your opinion.
I'd like to address something, Dave, that you've mentioned.
Wait a minute, we have a motion on the floor, so we're ready for discussion, then go ahead.
You alluded twice to a previous retiree that, and Julie has made clear that that was a mistake by the board. Can you give me your honest, what you thought prior to Bill retiring, whether that was going to be paid out or not? Because evidently the opinion has been decisive after Bill retired, the way that you made the statement.
Of course, I came from the union, went into management as assistant, and then went to manager with no assistant. But when Bill retired, there was no need for me to discuss his personal finances, and it was my understanding, just from the board here, that he was paid what he was due.
My question was, what was your expectation prior to Bill retiring about this decision that we're making today?
Well, at that time, I had no plans to retire, so I had no expectations other than
How did
You
you,
know, when-
let me rephrase that, how did you think the contract read, or what did you think?
It's not a contract,
Yeah.
it's a salary
No,
ordinance.
Okay, how did you think the salary ordinance was to be? I mean, I guess what I'm saying
I had no
is.
opinion. I had no reason to look for it because at the time I had no
Okay,
desire to retire.
okay.
Come on up here,
address that?
Mary Ellen, come up here, please.
He can't really answer that, I don't think, but I can, because I had a meeting with Bill after he talked to everybody about what was going to happen, and I was specifically told that I would not lose anything that I had accumulated up until 2009.
Who told you that, Mary
By
Ellen?
whom?
Bill told me that. That came from a meeting with John. And I don't know if Julie was there or not, but he had a meeting with John, and John specifically told him, and then he told me, because I was going to retire at the same time Bill did, and I got talked into staying. And then, you see how well that worked out now. But, yeah, I was told I would be paid at least everything up until 2009. So he had no reason to doubt that as well, because that's what I knew. So that's all. But I would like to say too that you just approved $16,551 for cosmetic things at the office. That would cover what I'm asking for. So,
Yeah, talk about coverage of costs. It's well known that Congress Utilities is paid by revenue and
I
not
know what she's talking about.
tax money. And with the diligence of the board and the utilities, they're now in the black, doing pretty well. And the lack of an assistant for the time I was manager, the pay and benefits far outweigh the cost of what the city owes the three of us. So we request that you just go ahead and pay us. Suggest to the council, they pay us, make that special ordinance, make it a done deal, once done, and then we can go on.
Let me make a couple of points here under discussion. Board of Works can't make a salary ordinance of any kind. Secondly, if everybody is paid out with what we've been able to figure here, non-contractuals, for just sick days, you did not add up the severance pay.
No.
For just sick days,
For unused sick days through the end of 2008 is what I had Susie
it would
roll.
come to $53,866.10.
I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, but what I'm talking about is what you owe me, what you owe Karen, and what you owe Mary Ellen. That's what I'm talking about. And that comes to 65.
Now, the clerk treasurer tells me 53,000.
Well, we're talking two different things, so.
Okay.
You're talking about 3 individuals, and there's more than
Yeah.
that.
And
That
Dave's
is what
talking
we're
about
talking
paying
about.
out their sick days
Yeah.
through the end of the time that when they left here,
And you're not
plus the
talking about any
severance
severance
pay.
pay.
No, and I
Right, the
didn't
three of
address
us
severance
met
pay
with
at
the
all.
three of you, and we are the ones who discussed it with you, and not the whole utilities.
But you can see that if you agree to pay these 3 out, you must pay everybody that works over there, which is 6 more, right? Did you agree to
I
that?
don't know how many there are.
The 6 girls that are left in the office.
Non-contractual, that's the only 6 that's non-contractual, that isn't all brand new. And as you said when you started, all these brand new people, when Brad came out of the union, he's either being paid or is paid for his sick days, just like you were. You were paid when you came out of the union for his sick days.
No, you didn't pay me until,
But you are paid.
but you paid me at my union wages 4 years ago. You did not pay me for the wages that I left with, as you did
But that's what you were instructed
Bill
to
Emmerman, the
do,
previous.
Julie.
That's what.
State Board of Accounts.
That's
Well,
what they
we don't know what the
suggested.
State Board of Accounts said because you told us we would get a copy of what Charlie Pride of State Board of Accounts said, and we've never gotten a
I
copy.
never talked to Charlie Pride, I talked to Bill Vinson.
Oh,
who's
well,
our
Charlie Pride's the
district.
name I kept hearing in that meeting, so.
I didn't talk to Charlie.
But she did it according to what State Board of Accounts told her. You can't,
Well, that's good.
since the ordinance,
And-
as I said when I started, is an ordinance each year dies at the end of that year, every year.
Okay.
A new ordinance has to be passed every year for every salary, for the council people, for Board of Works people, for everybody that works for the city. A new ordinance has to be passed every single year.
Okay.
Okay, this is 7 ordinances later. So what she did is she paid you out at your rate of pay when you came out of the union. And if the council decides to pay everybody, or
So-
you three people, they would have to pay you at the rate of pay you made up till 2008, not from 8 until 14.
So why was I not paid my 1 year of service for every, 1 day pay for every year of service?
That isn't even under consideration, is that right?
Yeah, that's my.
John,
That's what
that is
they've
not
asked
under
for, yeah.
consideration, is that
That's-
right?
That, sick days and severance is what the three of us are asking for.
They're requesting that. That he just
Right.
told us, so yes.
But that's not figured in.
That's what Bill got, that's what we are requesting, and I don't see why you would not pay people who chose to stay through during difficult times, making sure the county's utilities stayed afloat and stayed working.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion? Anybody? Karen, would you like to speak?
I'd just like to say one more.
Come on up here. Mariel.
Please remember that when Vistion had the problem with their pensions, we paid you to go wherever it was, to travel out there and champion them and get that money for them. Now, don't turn around and do something different to us. Be our champion too. Take this to council and back us, because we've all put in a lot of time and we've worked very hard and we've been good employees, and now we feel like we're being punished because we came to work, we didn't use those sick days, we thought we would get paid for them, and now all of a sudden we couldn't have used them. We weren't given enough notice to do that. We all thought we were going to be paid. So be our champions. Send this to council with your approval, please. We did it for you, Mike, when Vistion.
What we did for Vistion, they were gonna take their health insurance away. And Baker and I flew out there and we went to court until 9 o'clock at night, because if they would have taken their health insurance away, which they did eventually, it would have killed our hospital and our doctors, and it hurt us terribly.
Right.
It hurt the whole community.
Well, now we're hurting,
Yeah.
so champion us.
Okay.
please.
But this group has no authority to make any ordinance or
I'm
spend
not
any money.
asking for that. I'm asking for you to pass this on to
That's
council
what
with
that's what the
your
motion, the
backing.
motion is that we take
That's
this
what
to
I'm
council, and that will be done this evening. It's on the agenda.
With your
That's-
approval.
That's the key. In the meeting we had in your council room, and as she's mentioned here, we asked that you send it on to the council with your support.
But we were talking only sick days at that time. We weren't
No,
talking
we
about.
talked severance.
You were there.
I don't know.
What did we talk?
You might want to,
Well, we talked severance, we talked it all, but I thought we were going to, let's see,
Just propose sick days.
that we were gonna come to a compromise.
What did you
and
think, John?
propose that we would do sick
There
days
was
through the end of
negotiation
2008.
going on, I don't recall all the details. I know severance was an issue, sick pays were an issue, and whether or not it was retroactive in 2008 was an issue. That is, that 2008 salary ordinance. Those are the issues I think that are pending. And the council presumably will have to decide those things.
Well, I'll tell you how important I think it is, David. My aunt's funeral's tomorrow morning, and I was called on Saturday, and I couldn't go because I didn't want to put this issue on Fran for today and tonight. I intend to stay here and miss the funeral tomorrow at 11. That's how important I think it is. So I am putting some pretty much importance on it,
appreciate that.
because I would have flown out of here this morning and gone to the funeral. And I fully intend to, but I would not leave this board and walk away from it, which I could have done. But I thought the issue was important enough. I need to stay here and see but I can't speak for the council.
No, we don't ask you to. We ask
Sometimes
to speak for you.
What I
and your
advocate to
support.
the council, they go the other direction. I'm not sure you want me advocating to the council if you've watched any of the meetings. But I'm sure that the council will look at this, and they have to do it. We've got that straight from the State Board of Accounts. The council must do it. If it's to be
And
done.
we understood that from the meeting
Yeah.
we had, the council.
So-
But knowing you're going to discuss it today, we thought we should be here
Yeah.
to assist you.
Well, all this is in vain if they don't pass an ordinance. So, rather than all of us are upset and we have to take another aspirin or
Yeah, the
Advil,
next
let's let the
step
council
is
decide.
much more expensive than what just settling with us is.
Okay. Any further discussion? Karen, I asked you, did you want to speak?
Not at this point.
Okay.
I think we said what we needed to say in the meeting that we had with you. and-
But the whole Board of Works was not there at the time, so if you want to speak, you could speak to the Board of Works. I do encourage
Dave's a
you.
good advocate for us.
I think all three of you need to speak to the council. Okay. We have a motion on the floor.
Repeat the motion, Mayor.
Turn this issue over to city council.
Well, that sounds real positive, doesn't it?
That's the way the
You
motion
made the
was.
motion, I seconded it.
That's all we can do. We cannot tell them what to do, and I don't think.
I understand.
I don't think you want us.
You can't even write it in a positive manner.
You don't want us telling them what to do. Believe me, let the council handle it. Fran, you're a council person.
Yes, sir.
Are we doing what we should do, or what?
And I know you're doing what you should do, because that's what we discussed in the meeting, that you would send it on to council with your suggestion of adoption.
If they would have listened to me a long time ago, I'd have had all this thing done with but they didn't listen to me, so what makes you think they're gonna listen to me on other issues? You know, city council is elected to make the decisions. The mayor's only I just do the meeting. On this board, I have a vote. I get to vote on sending this up there, but I don't get to vote tonight. Unless it's a tie. I don't know if everybody's coming tonight or not. Anybody heard?
But when
Melissa?
asked to speak, you'll speak in a positive manner.
I don't know that I'll speak in a positive manner about the 1 day per year deal, because that, I thought we were gonna compromise and we were just gonna do the sick days.
Well, when we left that meeting,
That's gonna,
we could no longer do any kind of negotiating, because an attorney would not want us to do that.
yeah, that's gonna jump that $53,000 figure.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, isn't it?
Sure,
Severance, well,
but we wouldn't be
Yeah,
paying
I
them.
don't know what that number really represents, but what I'm talking about is $65,000 to take care of the three of us for 123 years of service to Connors Utilities.
Any further discussion?
That's a pretty small
We'll
amount.
have a roll call vote. Let's start at Ronnie's end this end, not put Fran on the spot.
Ron Coldiron,
Yes.
what are we voting on,
We're
send this to
voting
council?
to send this to the city council.
Yes.
Leonard Urban,
Yes.
Fran Shamel.
Yes.
Okay, so 100%.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, we have another issue that's very difficult. And Scott, will you come up to the podium? As you know, I declared a financial emergency back in March 5th. That's when I closed. Because Julie and Pam came to me and showed me where we were financially. And I knew by the end of the year, at least the end of the first tax draw, we were going to be in deep financial trouble. And so, by virtue of my office, I froze overtime, and we cut out a lot of things. We just cut out basically everything we cut out. We haven't had a additional appropriation with the exception of buying a part for a fire truck or for a lawnmower.
That hasn't even been additional appropriation.
We haven't done any
Haven't done
additions.
any additions,
We've just
other
cut
than-
everything out completely.
Not out of any tax funds.
The fire department now has filed a grievance against the city. They want their clothing allowance and their part of the contract that says manpower put back. Am I saying it right? You have to decide today whether the fire chief denied the grievance, is that right? You have to decide whether you want to deny the grievance or rectify the grievance, or we could go to arbitration. I'm open for discussion. I tried to get everybody a financial report last Friday, and you have it. I think everybody in the packet got it today?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the reason the grievances came about in the first place, obviously, is because we felt, and months previous to this, that, we were doing better, month to month, better. We kept gaining.
And we are a little bit, as you can see by this
And
report.
according to, the paper that you gave all the departments back in March when all this came upon us, you had estimated that, at the beginning of May, You know, I'll even start at April. At the beginning of April, you know, we were gonna be at, you know, such a point, well, when we got to April, we were $227,000 ahead of where we thought we were gonna be. Then in May, we were gonna be broke, we were $420,000 ahead of where we, you know, thought we were gonna be, and then, you know, it just kept, and I'm just going by the numbers that I was given, because that's all I
Of
could
course,
go
in
by.
May, we'd already gotten part of a tax draw.
That's without the tax draw. Yeah,
May?
with the tax draw, we were at $807,000.
Okay.
Yeah, that's without the tax draw, so, you know, and at that point in time, I'm like, great, you know, we're doing better, you know, if I don't come to the meeting, I'll watch the meeting, you know, and I keep track of the numbers, I'm like, well, we're doing better, and even the mayor, every meeting says, you know, what we've put in place is working, you know.
Well, and it is.
And it is, you know, our overtime, you know, was down to, I know ours was down to about next to nothing. Our fuel was down, you know, next to nothing, which, you know, we didn't really have a choice on that, and that was the whole reason for the chief kind of putting the part-time on hold, because we couldn't train them. You know, we were told not to start the trucks up unless we went on a run. So that's where our manpower issue, you know, fell apart. So, you know, we're looking at all these numbers, and then come time, you know, to where, you know, some money's due for some employees. You know, we were under the assumption, you know, according to my figures, that everything was, you know, doing better. You know, last month, you know, a meeting just a month ago, I know you weren't here, Fran was running the meeting, and, you know, we got a tax draw, it was a little better than what we thought, which is great. You know, I'm not saying we got a ton of money, but, you know, yeah, we're gonna be fine until December, you know. So, all of a sudden, you know, yeah, we felt like we, you know, were deserved what we had coming to us contractually. And then Friday, you know, all of a sudden I get an email saying, oh, we fell apart again. You know, now we're gonna be, you know, in the hole at the end of the year, $171,000.
That doesn't
So-
include our December tax draw, though. You understand?
Rod, I understand, yeah, I know that. I would hope that doesn't include,
No.
otherwise we're in.
We're really in bad trouble,
Real
yeah.
bad shape.
Well,
But,
if you
you know-
remember, when I talked to you last week or 2 weeks ago, we thought we would be 100,000 to the good before the tax draw came. And there were a few things that we had to sit down here and figure out what we had to pay. And,
Well, and I'll take some responsibility for that, because I had asked Pam in my office to look at the figures and tell me where we were with our income.
Right.
And she gave me things through the end of June, and I pulled a balance that was our general fund balance that was like looking at July, towards the end of July, and we'd already received some of that income, and then I added it in again, thinking, looking at her figures with mine. So I didn't really,
Well,
I
like
had
I
to
said, you know,
reevaluate that.
like I said, the only thing, you know, that we can go by is these figures that you're giving us. You know, and this paper, you know, that we got when all this started, you know, obviously I went through and looked at that, you know, and I've kept track of everything, and, you know, and it's not, like I said, we're not asking for something that we didn't have coming to us to begin with. You know, and if, you know, we thought that, you know, we were in the negative, we wouldn't be asking for it. But according to the numbers that we were given, and, you know, me keeping track and getting those reports every month, and, you know, I can see that there's things being cut. We felt like, you know, it was due to us according to contract, and the money's there. So, you know, and this isn't just me. I've got 24 other guys, you know, saying, yeah, you know, we feel like we should get this, if, you know, if the money's there. And then, like I said, you know, bam, Friday, you know, I get a call from, you know, Leonard, and he's emailing me, yeah, you know, so now I'm like, you know, I mean, how did we get from there to, I don't really understand. It's almost like, did we forget to figure in stuff initially? You know, I don't know how we went from where we were at to, you being this far in the negative at the end of the year. I don't really understand that, you know.
You know, when I give you those figures, I'm estimating.
Right.
I never know
understand
for
that.
sure. I don't know for sure what the income is, and I don't know for sure what the expenditures are gonna be. At any point in time, things can change.
Right.
And I estimated, I way overestimated on our claims when I did those things back in March.
Right.
I looked at the first
And
2.5 months
kinda-
of the year, and I looking back, I estimated way high on that.
And that's not always a bad thing to try and
Yeah.
figure high. Then you may, you know, maybe
I'd rather
you'll be-
have,
you're right.
too much
You know,
than
ahead of
not
time, right? But
I
you know,
feel like the figures that I've given you right now, the way I've laid it out, I went back and looked at April, May, and June, which was after we instituted the financial emergency, And I really looked at the claims and we've been averaging, they've been real close to staying in that 80 to 85,000 a month. And then I looked at the big things that I know that we have yet to pay out, and those were the other things that I added in there. And, you know, the income, I just tried to look at what we have, what our balance is, and the things that I know, and we don't have a lot of income to come in. I mean,
Well, I mean,
it's as factual as I feel like I can give you right now.
well, looking at, you know, when I look at this, you know, obviously, you know, this paper that you gave us on Friday pretty much says we're gonna be broke again in December.
Well, but
Before the
it's-
tax draw comes, but then yet, you know, we appropriated $22,000 to tear down buildings.
No.
Again, you know,
No,
is that
12.
not appropriated?
12,000.
And that was in Riverboat money,
it
and that
comes
was
out of
already
Riverboat.
done before the financial
And
emergency.
That was done before March?
Oh, yeah, it was done back in January or February. But here's the deal.
But we just never spent it.
For
It's
that
still sitting there.
$12,000,
Are we still gonna spend that?
yes, because we're getting it out of Riverboat, because for that 12,000, what we're gonna get about 800,000.
Well, I understand that.
not quite
but
that
still,
much.
you know,
It's match money for a grant, I don't know what.
Well, they're about 25,000 apiece, 6 times 25. So it's 150,000 we get
But
for
it's,
12.
you know, I mean, I know, you know, the Riverboat money, you know, it's like you said when we met last Monday, you know, we don't wanna spend the Riverboat money in case something breaks down, we gotta take money out there to pay for it.
You remember when it
You
was
know, we gotta, I
appropriated?
mean, are we still gonna, you know,
No, I
go
don't
tear down
know.
houses when we don't have to? I mean, do we really have to spend that money?
Yeah, they sat there, and then you said the council gave you approval to.
The council gave me
apply it.
approval to tear one building down, and then I went to a meeting in Annapolis and found out I could tear 7 buildings down because we got this big grant that could
Well,
give
that's
each
great,
city.
you know, grants are great, but, you know, like I'm saying, you know, if we're broke, we're broke.
Then we transferred the money that they had put into that one building into the grant fund. Now I'm figuring out, we may not even have to spend most of that, because we got some people stepped up to the table gonna pay the match money. Because they want the town to look nicer. We've got 2 groups and an individual that are gonna pay the match on at least three of the buildings, right? Okay.
Here we are, so.
This is as good a report as I've ever seen, because we were able to average those 3 months under claims. We average those 3 months and divided by 3. I mean, you can't get any closer than that. Especially since we're not appropriating anything extra for anything. We're not doing any additional appropriations.
Something else I don't see in here as far as expenditures, you know, do we have to pay back the 75,000 that we borrowed for the park?
That's
To
in
King
the
Cat
park,
Fund?
but this is just for general fund.
But that has to be paid back though, right?
Yeah, but that's not part of this fund.
And if you notice, we've been transferring on that non-reverting fund, trying to use those funds, which is startup money for next year. But we've been taking a little bit here and there to pay bills. We've been doing that we did some today, just to keep things going. And if you notice, I haven't blacktopped anything because, yeah, there's 200,000 set aside over there and there's money in there to do it. And that's what it can be used for. But I haven't done it. I sit here and scratch my head. You know, there's 2 or 3 streets in town that are just desperate need of blacktop.
Well, I understand that. All I'm saying is, you know, even as, just last month, you know, we were, we're gonna make it, and, you know, now we get this.
Well,
So
this-
it's like- I mean, are we,
To me, this looks good compared to what it did 6 months ago. We were $350,000 low.
exactly, and that was my point a
Now
little bit
we're
ago,
only-
you know, and then we had already, you know, according to this initial sheet you gave us, and I know Julie says, you know, they were pretty foggy estimates, but it said that we were gonna be short $350,000 to meet, budget appropriations for the whole year. Well, we'd already made that up by May, according to these numbers here, you know. I mean, if we don't have it, we don't have it. All I'm saying is,
I
I'm
think it's
just
much
giving, these
better.
are just the numbers that you gave us.
It's much better for us now to think that, you know, if we end up doing just exactly like this, we'll be $171,000
Well,
short.
and like I said, that's the reason that we did what we did, you know, you know, according to the numbers and the figures that I write down every month, and, you know, my guys felt like, you know what, it's contractual obligation, and they felt like, you know.
We had a little meeting just before we came in here, and what we agreed, what we're gonna do, again, at the end of December, we'll do the same type of paper, because this really tells the story. This is a truer picture.
I hope
than-
we'd probably do it once a month, you know.
Well, we can,
You know, I thought, you know, and
It's a
then
job.
even last Monday, you know, when we sat in the meeting, you know, you even made the comment to sit there and offer to pay us half of it.
I
But
didn't
that was
offer it,
before,
I
you-
said-
but that was before these numbers come out too, so I'm like,
I got shot down pretty quick on that. What I've been telling the police department, you know, we've had some of our police officers roughed up and they tore their shirts and stuff. Bring a shirt in and we'll pay for the shirt. We'll buy you a new shirt. Same thing with you. I feel like if you lose some of your clothing or if something goes wrong and you justify, you know, I had to pay for an arm for a lawnmower this week. We had to pay for, I forget, something else over there. This morning we met with a company. The ambulance, you know, quits on us halfway to the scene, quits on us halfway home. We
we have a
have,
fire truck that does that sometimes too.
we
Brand new one.
we figured out a deal to where we can take our box off of our Ford chassis and put it on another chassis. And we can do that and possibly come out with the same payment that we're paying, because we don't have that one paid for. If you and I owed like we do on that ambulance, we would say we're upside down. We are upside down in that ambulance because it isn't worth anything. And you're gonna see that come about here in the next month, and I don't want you to think, well, man, they come up with a bunch of money, they're buying an ambulance. No, we're not.
Well, you know, equipment's a whole different story, you know, I understand that, you know, if you
Our
gotta fix,
primary
you gotta fix
ambulance-
equipment, you gotta fix equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't run without equipment.
But we're gonna do all
So-
of that out of a fund that we've managed to get from the government. Kinda like that money to tear down houses. We heard about a deal that we could apply for this money that was due to us, and we applied for it and we've been granted. We just don't have the check. We know we're gonna get it, and that's what we're gonna do to redo this ambulance. And so you're gonna see that come forth here in the next 60, 90 days. But that has nothing to do with the tax money. Board of Works, you saw these figures. I think we are
yes.
doing better. We're saving,
Scott, yeah, let me say this. Scott, I went back about 15 months through the appropriations and started averaging them for 3-month intervals. And we are saving, the last May, June, July, we did save some money, it looks like. That certainly doesn't, in a 3 months, to me, is not a good benchmark to change course now.
Right.
Now, that's not saying down the road somewhere we can, but I think as stewards of what we're doing, I think it's a little fast to change course now, I really do. And just, you know, yeah, we've saved money in the last 3 months, but that was the whole intent. So if we go back to where we were, now, I understand you're just for the fire department, but we've got to look at it as a whole with all the entities across the city. And naturally, if one does, the other's going to jump in, which we assume.
Right.
So I really don't think it's a good time to change course of what we're trying to do. And that's not being critical of anybody.
No, I
I think we're on the right track,
I understand.
but we certainly don't need to change yet. Now, that's an opinion, so, yeah.
You want to discuss the manpower issue, or you just want to stick with this one for now?
oh,
You know,
this
because
board's
we-
willing to listen to anything.
Well, I mean,
you
we
know,
had the, you know, the manpower issue also, so.
The manpower
Really,
issue,
the
is-
only-
if we go, that's the biggest one. If we go back to paying overtime,
Well, we're not discussing, we're not talking about overtime. You know, contractually, you know, the overtime, the only reason we were paying the overtime is because we were running unsafe. And, you know, obviously, you know,
if we go back.
years
to-
ago, the council and, you know, and the Board of Works determined it was cheaper to pay overtime than it was to hire people anyways. So that's where the overtime came from, you know, was, you know, the guys understand that, you know, the overtime was not there to stay. But, you know, the issue at hand was that, you know, we had to send the part-time guys packing, or, you know, the chief felt the need to send the part-time guys packing because we were ordered not to start the trucks, to not use fuel, therefore we couldn't train. You know, you got a part-time guy that hasn't been there for 3 months, and you call him in, you can't you start the truck and drive to the park and train him, you know, you're looking at, you know, serious safety issues, and we've discussed a lot of these with
It's
what's
simple
wrong
to
with
say,
safety
the
committee.
overtime, or the part-time people cost half the overtime.
Right.
So if you re-engage the part-time people right now, you'd pay half the overtime you'd pay
Well,
if you
Well,
pay.
since the financial emergency come about, I think we're about $15,000 that you've saved by just not using the part-time specifically.
I pulled those.
It's right about $15,000, I think.
So we have to stay the course the way we are. I don't see any other way. And at the,
We're just, we're doing the best we can, with what we got right now.
At the
It's
end of
not
the
safe,
time-
but, we're doing the best we can.
we'll look at it again. You can look at it every month and these figures will, I think she's got a pretty good handle on it. I think they worked hard last Friday. It looks simple, but to figure out exactly where we are, this comes close. You took exactly what you expect to get in, you took
I
what you
understand.
expect
I'm
to
just
pay
saying,
out.
It's hard not to be frustrated, but,
Yeah.
like last month, you thought you were at one spot, and then, I don't know.
And Scott.
And I know a lot of these payments aren't coming out until the second half. I see that too. We've got several payments that aren't coming out until the second
And we
half of
hadn't
the year.
paid anything on our 911 agreement because we were waiting on a new agreement. So we had paid nothing to the county for that.
But, and I'm not, speaking for the whole body, but I'm not sure, if we would've had, and like I said, I trust your numbers, but I'm not sure we would be here if we would've had something like this, the guys might have looked at that and said, but we felt like we were in pretty, decent shape.
And at that time, when we
And
talked
now
about it
here we
after
are.
we got our tax draw, I hadn't really sat down and put all of it together. I'm just looking at the bottom line. This is what our balance is.
Right.
I didn't have the time to sit and really put it all together.
Right.
I think we're all guilty of that. When we first get our paycheck, it looks pretty good until you figure out all the bills gotta come out of it.
Well, I wasn't
And that's basically
necessarily
what
looking
happened here.
I think everybody agreed the draw came in better than what they thought it was going to, and I wasn't necessarily going off that. I was trying to look at balances, the monthly, first of the month balances, compared to, where we thought we were gonna be. And then I go back and inform my guys of where we're at, and then, my guys tell me what to do. So, and here we are. And then,
That
like I
was the
said,
reason.
and when I got the phone call from you on Friday, without even looking at the email yet, I thought, great, here we go.
Well, I thought, when I saw this Friday, the first time, I thought, I need to get this to the unions ASAP, so that you could see how she figured it and where it was. I didn't want to come up to this meeting and spring it on you. I wanted you to have it over the weekend, and I told you that on the phone. And I sent it out to everybody except Street Department, and they said they just get it Monday. That wasn't a big deal. But the police had it Friday, everybody had it Friday, so they could look at it, so you could digest it, because to me, it looks simple, but we deal with it every day. But I think estimating was bad. But when you take 3 months actual and you average them, then you're pretty much there.
Right.
Before our claims were like this. Now our claims are more like this. And so it's a lot easier to determine. And your payroll is pretty steady. You know exactly what you gotta pay every month.
Without any overtime, it is.
Yeah, without overtime.
And that's what's in the budget is it's budgeted to pay that. And we're running on course. I think, and I'm not a financial expert, we're saving $60,000 a month roughly. So you take 3 times 6 is 18, we saved about $180,000, and $180,000 in here. The $350 wasn't very far off. That I estimated we were gonna be short. You're an expert on this, Frank, you study it all the time. What's your opinion here? Are we better off than we were?
Well, we've expected income for the rest of this year is $3,828,428.78.
That's not the expected income, Fran. That's our general fund, the balance plus the income. That's our total.
Total monies we should have in the bank.
And our expenses are $4,312,000, so that's where the $171,883 comes in. That shows a minor sign, so I don't see how we can make any changes that would only add to the $171,000, in my opinion. So I think that.
Well, like I said, this was just kind of all news on Friday, so.
Sure, I understand. I mean, it was a shock to me when I got it. But I would certainly like to have had it reversed, but it is what it is, so. And this she's titled this 4 million as the expected expenditures. What scares me is what about the unexpected expenditures that may crop up, so.
That's the whole point.
That's my thought on it.
Such as this streetscape payment we gotta pay, someone's gonna face that someday with this separation. You know, the city's always gotta pay their part because we do the sidewalks and we do the curbs and the gutters. You can't take that out of stormwater. The city's gotta pay their portion, and you saw what I'm talking about.
We got any news on the riverboat payment, what that's gonna be?
No, I actually called the auditor on Friday. She gave me a figure, but I thought, that sounds familiar, and the figure she gave me was last year's figure, so she was, but we should have something in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We should.
When it says here 22,327 is already appropriated out of the riverboat, only 12 of that was for the grant. The other was for building materials, and I forget all that was out of there. Only 12 of that was that grant. And now I'm telling you that we've been able to negotiate with a couple of groups that's gonna help us with the 12. We couldn't have the state grant money if we didn't have money appropriated to pay the match.
Well, we had, part of that was that housing grant where they come in and do the repairs on the houses for low income. That was like 3,000 something. We haven't spent that yet.
Getting about 22 houses redone for that, aren't we?
26, I think.
26? Putting roofs on, putting new bathrooms in, but that, we only paid a small part of that, that's all federal grant. But you can't turn those things down, because we, you know, if we don't fix the houses, then we end up having to tear more houses down. I forget, she's not in here, but I think it's 60 houses in Richmond they gotta tear down. And we're talking maybe 6 or 7 here. I mean, we got a lot more needed, but we're gonna take the worst
I understand that,
ones.
but all I'm saying is, that, I mean, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money, regardless of what it is. You know, because
That's why we-
the riverboat fund can be used for other things too, you know, including what we're discussing now.
That's for salaries, I don't
So,
think.
yeah, it can be.
We have to rewrite the
Have to
ordinance, the
rewrite
way
the
our
According to our
ordinance is written.
council, it can be. So, I mean, if you're deciding not to pay your employees and using it for other stuff as far as tearing houses down, then that kind of, you know, makes some people upset. And like I said, again, you know, I know,
It's a
I'm
very
not
small
saying there's a
portion.
bunch of money in there. I'm just repeating some of the stuff that, you know, I hear on a daily basis.
It's a very
So-
small portion. Less than 10%. In fact, we'll know here just shortly. We go to Indianapolis Thursday, I think it is. It ain't easy.
Oh, I know it's, but you got a group of people, you know, telling you what to do, and I got a group of people telling me what to do, so that's why we're here. You know, I kind of advised them of where I thought we were at, and I thought I had a pretty good handle on it, according to the meetings I've attended and I've watched, and then, like I said, when I get this email Friday evening, you know, it was kind of a, you know, it was a smack, so.
So she came into my office and she said, it's not as good as I thought it was. Because I thought we were gonna be about 100,000 to the good. She did.
I thought-
We all did. But
You mean come the end of the year,
Yeah.
not right now, right? Well, hopefully we're better than
and
that.
at the end of the year, in December, it's tough to borrow money because you gotta pay it back before the end of the year. Now, in April, it's not too bad to borrow money. We could borrow money any place we want to, as long as we paid it back. So you don't have to worry. But at the end of the year, you borrow and have to pay it back in 20 days. That's not a good plan. So we gotta have enough plan to pay all the claims in December until we get the draw. And that'll probably come, what, right at Christmas, 23rd?
It's usually in the 20th, yeah, or right after Christmas.
Middle of the month, yeah. Toward the end of the month.
And right at the first of the year is when you have all them big bills. I mean, it's, and our insurance did go down 12,000, didn't it? Our liability, both the fire and liability and,
Overall,
yeah.
probably around that. Because our workman's comp went down quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's
We,
a big chunk of it.
one first aid unit operator retired and we're not replacing that.
Did you get anywhere on figures per department? You said you was gonna work on that too, as far as savings per department. We brought that
I
up.
tried that.
I'm sure that was fun.
Well, and I told Leonard, it's so hard to compare. I looked at trying to compare the first 6 months of last year to the first 6 months of this year. and you're not really, what you're finding out doesn't really tell you anything.
It fluctuates
Fuel,
too
fuel
much.
was up
Yeah.
in every department for the first 6 months, but that's because fuel prices are up. So, saying
Yeah.
that you're spending more for fuel is not really a fair estimate, because it's just the prices are higher. Last year, the police department spent $85,000 the first 6 months in equipment, but they had to replace all the radios, and they bought those used police cars. You guys spent more money, because you had to replace some radios. And actually, overtime in the fire department for the first 6 months of the year, this year, was $400 higher than it was in the first 6 months of the year last year.
That's because it's off-season.
Well, and it's because, but you spent $20,000 more in part-time employees for the first 6 months
Right.
than you did. So, I don't know that it really
Right.
told you anything. I wasn't sure what
What
point.
to look for.
Yeah, what
Right.
point there was to it after I
Right.
started looking at it.
I just think it's fair to say that a 3-month average is not a time to throw in the towel. I think you guys need to give it a little more time, I really do.
Well,
Be fair.
right,
Yeah.
a lot of common sense has to go into it. Obviously, like I said,
You know, even if we were coming out $100,000 to the positive at the end of the year, that scares me to death. I mean, that's no money to run a city. I mean, to have a balance for it, to run a city on. I mean, that's, in
Now, when
respect
you
to the
look at your
budget.
claims every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
One of the things that this hasn't shown in these savings is what we're missing. To Ron's point, we got $100,000 plus, and then we get bid at the end of the year because we gotta buy something that's $200,000. So I think it's in the best interest of everybody to let this thing settle till the end of the year and see where we're at.
Of course, we get the tax draw in December, probably about 2.5 million, but that has to run us into the first 6 months of 2015.
Well, figuring it this way though, and using this, I think, if we do the same thing, we add the tax draw to our money, figure what we gotta pay in the first 6 months, look what our average payroll is, look what our average claims is, we should be able to use this formula each time, if we hold to it.
But in January, we pay a lot of claims that we only pay
Yeah.
once a year.
And
So
all
those are
those,
kinda-
all those
Yeah,
There's
that
a lot
always
of
hits.
software
contractual.
contractual things come due, and you gotta pay all
Well, when
those.
we have a big chunk of liability and property and liability insurance, and the workman's comp that we pay, and that's a once a year.
Yeah.
We pay a small amount in August, but we pay the big amount in January.
It's no different than running your home and home, that you gotta pay your spring taxes, your fall taxes, you gotta figure them, you gotta pay your car payment, you gotta pay your house payment, and hopefully, if you're lucky, you can take the kids out to McDonald's to eat. And then some of us, and you'll get there just shortly, you got University of this wants a big check, and the University of that wants a big check. And my wife says, well, what are we gonna do? I said, well, we gotta dig into savings is what you gotta do. Because on earth, we're brought here for one thing, to have more kids, and then we have a responsibility to raise those kids, educate those kids. We're not here to leave a big pocketbook for those kids to buy a new home. And that's the way I look at it, and it's kind of like that in the city. We're here to pay for what we've got to pay for. We're not here to save a great big pocketbook. We're here to pay the bills. But the last few years, it's tightened down. And I'll remind you, our budget this year is still smaller than it was than when I took mayor, when I took the job. We were at 13.7, we're 13.34 right now, 13.350 total budget.
For sure.
So we have held the line for 7 years, and we're still having problems paying bills. And that's because you see these empty homes, they're not paying no taxes. You see the sheriff's sales daily in the paper, and
Nobody's buying the property.
we just went through this with utilities. We interviewed, I don't know how many people that were just excellent people to take these jobs, paying good money. And when they brought their wife here to visit, you know what they said? We're not coming. Now, we like it here. I don't want to live anyplace else. But I don't understand it. How many times did we do that?
About 4.
I did it once.
Once they brought the wife here, we're not coming here. Now, what do you do? We want restaurants, we want motels, we want, what do you call places you go at night, you know, for entertainment. We're not gonna have them till we have people. I don't know what the answer is. We got nice homes, I wish we were building more homes. I noticed yesterday they're building a new house at Everton, I was excited about that. You don't see, you know, we used to see every place that were building new homes. This was expanding. Nobody building homes anymore.
Okay. You guys do your business and I'll take it back to my guys.
I guess we officially got, did we do it? I can't even remember.
I don't think he took any action.
We got to take action. I need a motion to deny the grievance there. Or unless you're going to accept the grievance and pay it. Well, you know,
I'd make a motion to deny the grievance and be reviewed in another 3 months. I'd like to ask the fire department to review it in another 3 months and just hold off on it. That's what I'd like to see.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Have a roll call vote.
Fran Schaumel.
Yes.
Leonard Urban.
Yes.
Mike Bishop.
Yes.
Ron Coldiron.
Yes.
Was that for both? Manpower and, okay. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
I
I guess, is it filed under 2 grievances or 1 grievance?
It was 2 separate.
I'm not sure. Council probably have to.
Need to vote on both grievances, or
I would recommend it just.
which one did you just vote on?
Basically, I was talking about, I guess I was inclusive of both of them.
Is there any reason we can't vote on both at the same time?
Nope.
That's what he made
Let's
the
just make it
motion.
inclusive.
Did I vote for
If
you?
that was the motion, that's
Is
fine.
that all right with you?
I just wanted to know if that's what it was. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, miscellaneous business. Is there anybody else we missed out on today? Miscellaneous business? Any of you have miscellaneous business?
We're moving forward just a little bit on the, I'm waiting on Mr. Stoops to get back with us on a cost or what he feels like he wants for the land that we're looking at. Moving slow, but we are moving.
Nobody's come forward to offer naming rights?
No, but we are still looking.
Okay.
It's still an offer.
Big check.
I'll check.
We had that issue with the park, and Jane brought it up the last time, about the service agreement, you know, for the safety for the
Yes, alarm system.
service
I
charge
wasn't
on
there
the
on
alarm
that meeting
system.
when that was, so I'm
And she'd asked Mike to get another quote, and Mike had contacted CEI, but as far as I know, they've never
Okay.
gotten back
No.
and given them anything.
He hasn't. I remember
So we
that.
really need to,
Table
move on
this.
that.
no, I think it was
Need to
due,
move
we
on.
need to pay it.
What's the alarm for the Miller Building? I wasn't here when you did that.
You weren't.
Right.
That's why I don't remember
I
that.
move we go ahead and pay it since we're having.
What are we paying
problems
for?
getting it.
It's the service agreement for the.
Jane thought it was rather high.
Yeah,
She
that's,
wanted-
she had some numbers on it, I saw them, but.
What, is this
unfortunately,
just a monitoring service?
Well, it's the alarm service.
It's everything that's,
Yeah, I think so.
it's everything that pertains to that.
Take the equipment and monitor.
She wanted to get go out and see if there was any other quotes we could
And
get.
that's, she had Mike, she wanted Mike
Is
to
this
contact.
just on the Miller Building, or?
It's just on the Miller Building, for the CEI.
But if it's past due,
I think we need to table it. Jesse, you know anything about it?
About what?
This bill for the alarm system on the Miller Building? You're too new.
I tried to call him today to get the quote, is that what you're talking about? And I haven't heard anything, so.
Let's table this, that is high.
it is,
That's
she's
just
got
on one
numbers.
building?
Yeah.
I think,
Can we combine that park facility?
It's gotta be more than that, it's gotta be more than the two, more than one building, but it says Miller Building.
No, I don't think it's more than one building, I think it's only for the building.
Okay.
I can call Jane if you like and
No,
find out.
let me look into this, I'm sorry, I didn't know anything about it until today, it's the first I've seen it.
That's the reason why we
To my knowledge, I
tabled
think
it.
the only one building up there's alarm, that's the Miller Building. There's nothing else.
I pay about $200 a year.
Yeah, that's the reason why we
We got cameras on the other building, but
Yeah,
it's
we got
not a
cameras,
monitored
we don't have
thing.
alarm systems. so I don't know
Okay.
what the-
Yeah, I'd like to table it. I know,
I'll make a motion that we table it until the next meeting, till Jane comes back, and I'll,
Can I have
are you gonna get into it with?
Yeah, so I'm gonna
Okay.
get into it as soon as we get out of here.
Cause that's too
I
high.
wanna know what it's about,
Well,
and I think
and I
it's more than that.
think Mike had Ron Best come and go through the building and get everything ready, but he still hasn't given him a quote.
She had some that was much lower than that, but I don't know the details. I don't wanna speak for her.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Under miscellaneous, Jesse, if you'll come up to the podium. This is Jessie Bound. She took over the park this morning after a
Jessie.
delay at the jury
How are you?
duty.
Welcome.
Jesse's worked for the park off and on for the last 4 or 5 years. She's cut grass, she's weed eated. She has a degree in hospitality. She has 2 years' experience in hospitality, or 3, 2,
About 2.5.
2.5, where she did all the stuff that we do in the park. She's very capable, and I have appointed her park superintendent. And she did get to spend most of the week last week with Mike, which was the worst week in the world because the fair was going on.
Yeah, that's.
I learned a lot, didn't you?
They'll get better from there on.
And I'm gonna train her a little bit my way.
Oh.
And might not be the best. I think she'll do you a great job. So I want you to put a face with a person. Last week you hired, or 2 weeks ago you hired her, but you didn't know who you were hiring. And Jesse, anything you'd like to tell the Board of Works?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe next week.
Wait 2 weeks. We
Yeah, I've
need-
only been there for a couple hours today, so.
Yeah, I think she'll do just fine. I watched her work all through the years, and she has experience in the Miller Building, she has experience in all the buildings, she has experience, as I said, on the outside stuff. She has Billy up there as her maintenance person, and you can give him a job and he'll get it done. He has 3 other men that work for you full-time,
Yeah.
and 1 part-time. Isn't
Yeah. Yeah.
So she has people that have been there for years, know their job, know what they're doing, and of course we use the college kids in the summertime, and there's a tremendous amount of grass to cut. I noticed today they're cutting up the tree behind the bowling alley. Is that us or them? Or maybe you don't know about it?
That's us. I think Clarence was doing that.
Okay, so it was our tree that blew down?
I'm not sure exactly where it lies on the property line there, but I know it fell into our,
That's why we're cleaning it up.
I think it's been there for.
About 2 weeks, yeah, maybe 3. Well, if you have no questions, I assume that you're all happy with it.
Good luck.
Doing a good job.
Any way we can help you, just ask.
All right.
You know, I was only mayor 12 days, and I had to go testify before the legislature. And they asked me how long I'd been mayor, and I told them 12 days. It didn't impress them too good. Thank you for coming in today. Did you get your numbers straight with my associate there?
Yes.
Okay,
She's got
thank
it.
you. Anything else under miscellaneous claims?
Claims, for utilities, water was $92,841.07. Sewer was $109,521.07, and $25,000 of that was a bond transfer. And stormwater was $8,285.09, for a total of $210,647.23.
Okay, the city, the last 2 weeks, 137 claims came to $118,871.49. Over 50% of that, or $60,000, was our semi-annual payment to the county for 911. Second highest category was $15,034.71, and that was for diesel and gasoline to operate the city vehicles. And there we had an engine repair for the sweeper of $5,626, so it's in operation.
No, but they're working on it. I was talking to him this morning about it. He's working on it. We're close.
We had one that I had a question on, it was answered for me about Ray Allen, something with a K9. I guess Dave got away, but I was informed by Penny, who pays the claims, that it was something to do with an automatic door opener if the dog in the car got too hot or something. And anyway, it was through a donation, so that
Yeah,
was
they
good.
got a donation
It
for
was. it was $1,102.48. So that's pretty much it with the claims of 118,000, and add the 350,000 for the payroll brings it to $460,074.10.
I'm sorry, Fran, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm finished.
I just question this, park restroom amphitheater lights, is that just replacing the light bulbs from there in the overheads in the amphitheater? Or is that, it says park rest amphitheater, is that restroom or rest?
Probably the restroom and the
There's 5 of them on there.
Well, I'm sure we got it ready for the fair, and I know
That's
we
what I
replaced a lot of
figured,
bulbs,
yeah, okay. Well, it's $664, that's quite a bit for bulbs, but
Well, those mercury
I know,
vapor bulbs,
sodium,
they're very
yeah.
expensive.
I understand. Thank you.
It's a minor item, but I thought it's kind of funny. What are we buying dog biscuits for?
Police use them for when they go in on the property out
It's
there.
all
We buy dog food for the dogs, but I didn't know about dog biscuits, but I guess that's part of the training probably. If they do a good job, they hand them a biscuit.
The officers sometimes use them when they approach it. If there's a dog about to attack, the male people carry them too.
They do?
And
That's
plus
a good
spray.
idea, isn't it?
All
Here,
right.
have a biscuit, not my leg.
Well, they usually end up getting the leg, but it don't make no difference. But I think that's part of it. I saw that too.
I see now, okay.
What's your pleasure on the claims?
I'll make a motion that we accept the claims as stated.
Second, please.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Ron Coldiron,
Yes.
Mike Bishop.
Yes.
Leonard Urban.
Yes.
Fran Schaumburg.
Yes.
Pass that motion. Thank you. Well, public forum. That's what I like. By the time you get to public forum, there's nobody here. You're the only one that hasn't spoke today. Fire Chief, would you like to speak?
There's a thorn tree in the park, my sister stepped on, hurt her foot.
In the park? It's my fault. I knew I should have had them thorns picked up. Put that in the paper. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
His sister stepped on a thorn in the park. It should have been picked up and put,
It's my little sister, so I
it's my fault.
thought I'd tell you.
Well, they sideswiped my granddaughter's car, so don't feel too bad.
In the park?
Yes, sir.
That's not my fault.
Probably during the fair.
I will make this comment, though. The young lady that done it was a high school student, and I applaud her because she left her name, phone number, and how to get a hold of her. Most people would have just driven off and left it because it's pretty substantial damage, but
The fair was very successful. I never seen the park full of people in
It
all my
was.
life as it was.
It was a great
beautiful
week.
weather.
Great weather week.
Anything else under public forum? Since we have no public, would you, press, like to say anything?
Get out of here.
I do
Bring
have
it.
just one quick question. You mentioned that the ADA, as far as the utilities building, the restrooms don't have to be ADA until it's remodeled.
They're supposed to be, but when you remodel anything, according to our plan that we have in place, anything that's changed must be put back ADA compliant.
Okay, so does the painting and the new door and all the new carpet and flooring, does that signify a remodel?
No, but by replacing the door, you have to put an ADA door, which we should have had anyway. We got a lot of older people that go in there.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
And that's what that plan was we passed. As we do things, we gotta do it ADA compliant. If we had the money, we would do that around here. And if you read in our plan, all that is addressed. When you have to do it, why you have to do it. It's a nice big thick book. It's at the library. I'd like to read it. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.